We talked last week about how you always need to give your guests or potential guests an easy next yes. This will be the easiest next yes they will ever take. Welcome to the Branded Market Podcast, the show for short-term rental owners who want to turn their listings into legacies. I'm your host, Allie Haney, owner and co-host of multiple properties and founder of Branded Market, where we help Airbnb hosts and short-term rental investors build intentional brands, smart marketing systems, and guest experiences that actually move the needle. Each week, I share practical strategies, real-life stories, and behind-the-scenes insights to help you attract the right guests, increase bookings, and run your rental like a business, so you too can be the best in your brand and your market. Let's dive in. Welcome to the 99th episode of the Branded Market Podcast. I'm so excited for next week. I would absolutely love for you all to join in with me in celebrating the 100th episode of the Branded Market Podcast. And in order to do that, I would love to feature you and your story. If the Branded Market Podcast has at all been impactful in your business, in your portfolio, or otherwise just in your life, I would love to hear from you and hear your real life voice by you leaving me a voicemail at the Branded Market Podcast voicemail holder thing. I'm going to link that in the show notes if you would like to leave a voicemail to be featured for your story to be on the Branded Market Podcast next week for the 100th episode. I'm super excited to hear from you guys because oftentimes, like I've mentioned in the past, it's me speaking into a microphone in the middle of my office by myself. And to be able to get some feedback and celebrate you all is going to be, I'm so excited for it, for a compilation episode. You know what? I honestly might even just hand over the voicemails to my producer and allow myself to be surprised for the 100th episode. But I would absolutely be over the moon for your involvement and enjoyment of this episode with me. So please leave me a voicemail, and you can do so by going to the link in the show notes. My next favorite segment of this podcast is the Wednesday wins. I get to celebrate client wins for my real life clients. So I worked with a client. His name is Brian Tubal. He owns Aligned Hospitality Management, and he was going through a rebrand back at the beginning part of this year. And after he went through that rebrand, he was then able to pitch himself to Marriott. A little bit of background. He does boutique hospitality and hotel management. So essentially, if you have a hotel that you don't want to manage yourself, you want to hire someone for the operations side of things, the finance side of things, then you can hire Brian's company to be able to run that hotel for you. And he has many hotels under his management right now, but he was feeling a little bit of a shift in the direction he wanted to go, the types of hotel owners and hotels that he wanted to work with. He enlisted my help going through that rebrand. And after that rebrand, he was able to pitch himself to Marriott and become a member of the, being accepted by Marriott to be able to also host those types of bigger hotels. So that was a really cool win. And I'm sure I might be butchering that a little bit, but it was a gigantic win for him. I remember him sending me the email with 1,000 exclamation points telling me that had taken place. And the part that really just made my heart happy was that in that email at the very bottom, his email signature had the new brand in it. So that makes me so very happy that he's implementing it across all of his online presence. So congratulations, Brian. I'm excited for you. I'm proud of you. Just grateful to be a small part of the Aligned Hospitality Management story. So thank you again. Now, the meat and potatoes of today's episode. As I promised, this is going to be all about giving your potential guests an easy next yes. And one of the easiest next yeses that we could potentially give them is through the use of Manychat. Manychat, Manychat. If you've been on Instagram at any point and you've seen those things that's like, comment the word blah, 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 and I'll send you blah, blah, blah. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Manychat is the software that allows you to be able to do that. It's essentially tailoring the message to the person and giving them exactly what they want without you actively having to be in DMs and sending them that link. It is an automation that can be set up through the Manychat software so that you are no longer directly in your inbox. Let me break it down for you a little bit more. You create your Manychat account, and from there, you can create all those different automations. If you're familiar with email sequencing or email funnels, it's very similar to doing that. It's saying basically like, if someone does this action, then we do this action, kind of like the if-then sequencing. So if they comment the word giveaway, we then send them a link automatically to enter into that giveaway, right? And we can set up as many of these as we want. The way that Manychat pricing works, in case you were wondering, is basically off the number of contacts that you have within your social media system. So the more contacts that you have, the more you pay monthly. There is a free version. That free version is not very robust. I pay for multiple brands the $15 a month tier, which is the lowest tier. And I believe, I can't remember if it's 500 or 1,000 contacts, but essentially that contact is considered anybody that is in your DMs. Keep that in mind. And periodically you can go through and kind of delete your contacts from the subscription if you're trying to keep costs low, or it will automatically bump you up to the next tier whenever your contacts hit that threshold and you pass over into the next level. So the highest mine's ever gotten was $25 a month. And quite frankly, I don't remember exactly the amount of contacts that was associated with that monthly rate, but overall, relatively affordable if you are using it consistently and correctly. So, like I said, you can build as many automations as you want. You can do as many trigger words as you want. DMing and commenting are the main two types of triggers that you can utilize. I will say that one of the features that I have used most often is a new follower welcome message. However, the last time I checked, that capability was still in the beta testing phase. And like I mentioned, I have Manychat set up for multiple accounts. And there was only one of my 3 accounts that I was actually able to access that beta feature off of. So I know that if it's a beta, then it's probably going to be rolled out to the general population soon. And I have gotten a ton of traction and feedback from that initial welcome message. Because yes, of course, it's an automation. However, you can tailor the messaging to make it seem like it is your voice, your brand's voice, your voice, if it's a personal brand, to tailor it around that. And what I found was that instead of just doing a general welcome message, like, hey, this is about me, blah, 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 right? I had a call to action included at the end. And essentially what I found is that as the podcast grows, that is becoming my main lead generator of my business. And so I was like, okay, let me give them my easiest next yes, so that they can then get deeper into my brand's ecosystem by being able to hear my voice, get to know me, know which services I offer, and where best to do that is the podcast. So actually, let me open up my DMs really quickly and read to you what that DM actually says, because it triggers anytime I get a new follower. So it's right there at the top of my inbox, almost always. So I wrote, hey there, thanks for following along. I'm Allie, and I help short-term rental owners turn their listings into full-blown brands through smart marketing, design, and co-hosting. Guess I got to figure that out because I don't really do much co-hosting anymore. But around here, you'll find tips to make your property stand out, boost bookings, and create guest experiences people rave about. I have a podcast and would love to send it over to you to browse. Lots of fun short-term rental topics covered there. And then they have a button, again, an easy next yes, to hit yes, send it over. Once they hit that, then I send them the actual link to the podcast so that they can go and listen and binge whichever episodes are most applicable to them. So it's kind of like I said, just that easy next yes. How can I get them to just hit that button? And then that follows up with a message that sends them the direct link to the podcast. That's what I want for you guys. I want them to always have an easy next yes using Manychat triggers. If I were going to start my Manychat account today for either my short-term rental or my boutique hotel or my micro resort, here's what I'd do. I would set up these 3 different automations. The first automation is going to be more of a nurture automation. So it can be anything that could be a free opt-in that's going to allow them to add themselves to your email list so that you can then nurture them through that marketing channel, get them off of your social media and onto your email list with some sort of free opt-in. That free opt-in could be something along the lines of a local guide to the city or state that you're in, right? What's going to be attracting them to the place where they're going to stay at your asset, whether that's a short-term rental or a boutique hotel. Okay, so now you might have, let's say the idea for the trigger, but then you have to create the post that's going to accompany it. If it's a local guide or something along those lines, I would absolutely love to see content of either the founder or another content creator that's going through and doing some of the things that are within that local guide. Maybe you are on the Bourbon Trail and you are saying, hey, these are the top 5 distilleries that you need to visit. Gather content from those top 5 distilleries, something unique about each one, and create that and put that into a reel. And then from that reel, your call to action is comment bourbon to grab your top 5 bourbon distilleries that you need to visit on your bucket list trip to the Bourbon Trail. Put yourself in the shoes of somebody that is thinking about booking and what's going to make them book that trip, and therefore getting them into your ecosystem and ultimately booking your rental. Okay, so let me give you an example. Like one of my favorite Bourbon Trail distilleries is Lux Row. First of all, Lux Row, the way that they put emphasis on the guest experience when people come, you can definitely tell that there's like almost a theatrical piece to the tour itself, because you're like, at first you're funneled into this room and the lights go dark and there's a video that you get to watch before you actually go out to the tour to see all of the different stills and the bourbon barrels and all the things, right? But at the very end of the tour, there's a tasting, but not just any tasting. They actually pair the bourbons with chocolate at the very end of the tour. And to my knowledge, they are the only ones that I know of that do that specific thing. So insider knowledge, if you weren't from the Bourbon Trail and didn't experience yourself, you're not going to know that piece of information. And so I'm going to tease that. I have a video from like 3 years ago when we went to the Lux Row bourbon tasting and distillery tour. I'm going to use that piece of that video to splice it together to entice people to say that, oh yeah, I want to know some of those insider places that are going to have those experiences that no one else is going to know. And what am I going to do? I'm going to exchange my email address by commenting the word bourbon so that I can get those insider experiences. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so that's the first trigger that I would set up, is some sort of like local guide, insider knowledge type of enticing piece of content that is free, that's going to allow them to take themselves from Instagram over to your email list, because that email list you own and Instagram you don't.
Look, y'all know the tagline for this podcast is turning listings into legacies. We start a short-term rental business for one of 2 reasons. We either really love real estate or we really love hospitality. But what if I told you that you could do both and do them both well? Lodgify is how I do that. I can run an operationally sound and therefore profitable business while also loving all my guests and leaving some margin for some unreasonable hospitality. Lodgify can help you create your own direct booking site, manage your reservations and guest messages, automate the back end of your business, and stop depending entirely on other platforms that you don't control. Lodgify helps you build your business, something sustainable, something that allows you to love on your guests, and something that helps you turn your listing into a legacy. Use my code BMPOD20 for a special discount until the end of July. That's BMPOD20 for 20% off all yearly Lodgify plans. Cheers, y'all.
Next up, if I was setting up another trigger, if I was just going through and putting in the initial work into my Manychat account, the second one would be some sort of discount code. There's always going to be some controversy around whether or not we should discount certain stays or not discount certain stays, if we're going to be attracting the right guest, if we do that discount, all of the things, right? I'm going to offer you this viewpoint instead. If you offer discount codes, but you have trackable discount codes, then Instead of that, looking at that as like a discount, look at it as an investment into your marketing strategy, because then you will know which discount code is being used most often, and therefore which code and which channel is bringing you the most return. So let me give you an example. Let's say I have a discount code that I give you guys for on this podcast to book any of my rentals. So if you use the code podcast50, you can get $50 off my rental in Kentucky. That's not necessarily true. I don't think I have that as an active discount code in my PMS. But if I did, I could use the code podcast50 to know that anybody that uses that code is going to be directly coming from the podcast to go book. Now, let's look at it through the lens of Instagram. I say, DM me the word or the number 50, and I'll send you a discount code for $50 off. They send me the DM that says 50. I then have an automated message that again can ask them and prompt them for their email. So they're being moved from Instagram over to that email list. And then that first initial email that they receive has an email with the code IG50. So I know that anybody that uses that code initially came into my brand's ecosystem through Instagram. So let's say of the codes that are used, I now know that only 30% of my people that are using discount codes are coming from the podcast, and 70% of the people that are using discount codes are coming from Instagram. So just that in and of itself is allowing me to gather data around where people are coming into my brand's ecosystem and perhaps where I need to put more attention when I am creating my marketing strategy. On the back end of this, what this looks like is that you are going to have some email marketing platform that's going to allow you to nurture potential guests prior to the booking. Okay, that's a little bit of a touchy subject there because I know we have a lot of Stayfy users as listeners. And to my knowledge, as of right now, with Stayfy, that is not a piece of technology that's going to allow you to nurture the guest pre-booking. That is only going to allow you to try and convert them into repeat guests, but that means they're coming into your brand's ecosystem from some other area, potentially an OTA where you're paying out those higher fees. In order to do this, you will need an email marketing platform that's going to allow you to nurture them pre-booking. That could be a Flowdesk, that could be a MailChimp, that could be a Kit, something along those lines. And then you're also going to need a PMS or property management system to be able to put those codes in. On Airbnb, you can't create those custom codes like IG50 or Podcast50, but you can do that within a PMS system like Lodgify, which I highly encourage you to take a look at. If you haven't already, that is the one that I use. I'm going to include my discount code for Lodgify in the show notes. That way you can tailor those specific codes to be able to track where they came from. Once we get further into like a deeper, more robust marketing strategy, you can use this same discount code strategy with influencers or content creators so that you can track the return on investment for each of those content creators and influencers. So they can have their own personalized code. Let's say their code is travel50. You know that travel50 is assigned to influencer 1, or stay50 is assigned to influencer 2. You're then able to track those metrics as to who they are coming in through. Okay, I just totally got ADHD off onto a tangent. So let's circle it back. First, Manychat automation I would make is the local guide or insider knowledge. Second, Manychat automation I would make would be a discount code of some sort. We want to make sure that it's trackable. And then third automation that I would create is a potential giveaway code. So again, another semi-controversial topic, but I absolutely think that a giveaway can generate so much traction on social media that we should be giving it more attention. And again, like thinking in the caveat that like this giveaway does not have to actually take place in peak season or on a weekend. This giveaway could be for a 2-day stay in shoulder season, in the middle of the week, what have you. But in order to do this Manychat trigger, basically you create this reel, right? Some sort of creative that's going to showcase all of the best amenities, local attractions, pieces of the parts of the property that you want to showcase. And then at the end, say, if this is the stay for you, comment giveaway, and we'll send you a link to enter into the giveaway. That link can be, again, leading to your email list, or it could be leading to specifically the giveaway form. All of those ways are going to give you more insight into potential guests. They're going to give you access to those potential guests, and you are going to be able to say, hey, tag 2 friends in order to be able to enter into the giveaway. That increases brand awareness because new people are being exposed to that reel. That's why we want that creative, the video that you use to be showcasing the absolute best of that property and location. I'm going to link Manychat in the show notes. I do not get any type of kickback from Manychat. I think it's an incredible tool that when used consistently can truly be used to grow a brand. I would love to see your business succeed online and also your marketing strategy, like I said, become more robust. Manychat is one of the easiest next yeses that you can give anyone that's entering into your brand ecosystem on social media to be able to nurture them on other channels too. I mentioned in the last episode the 7-11-4 rule, which means someone has to be in contact with you for 7 hours across 11 touch points across 4 different marketing channels in order to be comfortable enough to say yes to you. And so we want to make this strategy, this ecosystem, as sticky as possible. And Manychat is a great way to be able to do that, to access them on multiple platforms and to have those multiple 11 touch points. I hope this episode was helpful. When you set up your Manychat automations, can you DM me on Instagram at brandandmarket.co and let me test it out? I would be super excited to be able to do that for you and be one of your contacts on Manychat. If this sounds like completely overwhelming to you and you're like, Allie, I don't know how to set up Manychat. I don't even really touch my Instagram. I would absolutely love to have a consult call with you. I will drop my link to my consult call calendar in the show notes and we can just chat through it, for lack of a better term. We can have many chats to chat through it. No, okay, I'm done. Okay. Cheers to being the best in your brand and your market. I will catch you guys next week. Take care.
You just completed another episode of the Brand and Market Podcast. If you found this helpful, please rate, review, and subscribe to help others find this show and so that you never miss an episode. Don't forget to take a look at the show notes for all the resources mentioned today. See you next Wednesday, and as always, I'm here cheering you on as you build your dream brand and business.